WFYI podcast brought to you by Bloomington, Indiana, an American college town offering food and drink, college sports, outdoor activities, live music, cool art, and good times daily. Everyone is welcome in Bloomington. More information at visitbloomington.com.
This is WFYI News Now. It's April 17th, and I'm Abriana Herron. On today's show, a state official says it's unacceptable how few Hoosiers have training and education beyond their high school diplomas. New rulemaking for a literacy law passed by state lawmakers. And the federal rollout of FAFSA has been called a disaster by federal lawmakers.
This week is the deadline for Indiana students to file the FAFSA. And for many schools and students, it's been kind of chaotic for months.
Those stories coming up. But first, former Iowa basketball star Caitlin Clark is coming to Indiana. Clark was selected Monday night as the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft by the Indiana Fever. Clark became a household name among basketball fans during her record-breaking college career. The Fever taking Clark had been a foregone conclusion since February when she announced she would turn pro. Nearly 17,000 tickets were claimed for a draft watch party at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in downtown Indianapolis. And Indiana still lags on the goal to boost how many working-age adults have training and education beyond their high school diplomas. The state's Higher Education Commissioner Chris Lowry says that's unacceptable. Lowry shared his takeaways of the last year during the annual State of Higher Education speech on Monday. He says there's been some progress after more than a decade, like more people earning technical and industry certificates.
Indiana is now 5th in the nation. That overall places us at 28th in the nation. We can and must do better.
Lowry, who was selected to lead the commission in 2022, says the state must bolster opportunities beyond high school. Indiana faces a decade-long decline in the number of students choosing to attend college.
Last year was the wake-up call, and this year the data tell us we're on the right path, but work remains.
Lowry says he's pleased but not satisfied with the state's progress in higher education. And the State Board of Education voted last week to begin rulemaking for a new literacy law passed by state lawmakers. As Indiana Public Broadcasting's Kirsten Adair reports, the rulemaking process will integrate the new law into the state's current education policy.
Lawmakers passed measures this year to retain students who failed the state's reading test and provide those students with more support. Now, the State Board of Education must adopt the law. The board started that process last week with a resolution directing the Indiana Department of Education to use the Universal Reading Screener in Grade 2 to identify and help students who struggle with reading. The resolution also requires the IDOE to determine how to administer the iRead 3 exam to all second graders, support locally designed summer school reading programs, and codify the state's new third grade retention policy and its exemptions. There will be at least one public comment period before the board adopts the final rule. The Indiana Department of Education says the process will likely be simple and straightforward. For Indiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Kirsten Adair.
And for our final story today, Indiana high school seniors are required to file the Federal Financial Aid Form, or FAFSA, for the first time this year. But problems with the federal form have left schools scrambling to help students. WFYI's education reporters Dylan Pierce-McCoy and Rachel Fredette discuss what went wrong.
So Rachel, you and I have been reporting on this for a few weeks now.
Yeah, we've been out in the field. Personally, I've chatted with many families who have sought out help just to get it done. Learned a lot.
This week is the deadline for Indiana students to file the FAFSA, or Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And for many schools and students, it's been kind of chaotic for months.
It's pretty messy. In 2020, Congress asked the Department of Education to simplify the FAFSA form. This year's form is a result of their labors. The much-anticipated rollout didn't go as planned. Normally, FAFSA opens in October. The application itself was delayed by months. When families finally were able to start filling out the aid application, many struggled to complete it.
And it's not just that they were confused. There were software problems, right?
Oh, yeah. For example, many immigrant parents couldn't complete the application because of a bug in the system. When students did file the form, their application got stuck in the federal system. Because of how long it is taking to receive student data, many Hoosier colleges postponed decision deadlines. And high schools are dealing with the same issue. They don't even know which students filled out the application. Dylan, you talked to a bunch of educators in Indiana. What are they experiencing?
We heard over and over again from schools that this year is a lot harder than last year. Because of those federal delays, high schools don't know which students actually need help with the form. And even seniors who have submitted the FAFSA are stuck waiting to find out how much money they can get. I spoke to college admissions coordinator Kiara Cross about this. She works at Ben Davis High School in Indianapolis.
They want to know what their financial aid packages look like so they can commit to the school. They want to know which school is going to be the most affordable, and they would have had that by now.
And this year, it's not just seniors who want to go to college who are filling out the FAFSA. It's supposed to be everyone. How did we get here, Rachel?
So it's now required for all high school seniors, not just students who choose to pursue college. Indiana is one of 7 states that now push for this. It's not really a graduation requirement, but there's a lot of stress because students believe that if they don't complete it, then that will prevent them from getting a diploma. I went to a FAFSA night and I spoke to Manuel, a Lawrence Central parent, who fell prey to this belief about his daughter.
She's already been accepted to one community college. So we don't even see the point of doing this still, but now it's a requirement for her to get the degree.
The thing is, Manuel and his daughter might really benefit from filling out the FAFSA. She's going to community college next year, and if she files the FAFSA, she could get money. I talked to Rebecca Doherty Saunders, who's the director of college and career readiness in Wayne Township. She says some students who aren't planning to go to 4-year college are applying for aid because of the new requirement.
I'm having conversations with families and they're like, well, but he wants to be a plumber, so he doesn't need to fill out the FAFSA. Oh, absolutely he needs to fill it out because he can still get free money to pay for his plumbing certification.
That's the goal of the FAFSA mandate. The state wants to make sure students know how much money they could get for college or career training. And hopefully what that means is that more high schoolers go on to higher education.
This graduating class is really taking the brunt of this. But in the long term, this situation could improve. The federal government is fixing the technical problems that lots of students faced. And the new form is simpler.
Thanks for chatting, Rachel.
Thank you.
To read more reporting on student financial aid, visit our website at wfyi.org/news. That's all for today's episode of WFYI News Now. Our podcast is produced by the following people who live in your community: Drew Daudelin, Kendall Antron, who composed the music for this podcast, and me, Abriana Herron. Our news director is Sarah Neal-Estes. If you like today's episode, remember to subscribe and share, and follow WFYI on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube to check in on our newsroom throughout the day. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.